Hi, welcome to Courses by Moss, where we teach the technical side of design. I'm Marisha, owner and sole designer at Moss Interior. With over 25 years of experience to share in both commercial and residential design, I'm here to teach and empower you to take on your own interior design project. Hey everybody, I'm Marisha with Moss. Welcome back to our technical design series. In our last video, we discussed the tools you'll need and we completed an accurate sketch of your room. You need this before you start, so if you missed it, I'll put a link in the description below. Last video, we covered how to accurately sketch out our rooms before we measure, which is very important because the more organized we are on paper, the less likely we are to miss important measurements. Today is red pen day. What we'll be covering today is how to measure the overall dimension of your room. So we want the overall length and the overall width. We'll be locating the openings, so any openings to the room like doors and windows in order. And the very last step, we'll locate built-ins and appliances. So let's get started. Okay, so this is where our red pen comes in handy. The reason I like to use different colored pens is you are able to see the difference between what is what, and it's less confusing later. So when you're doing overall dimensions, you want to take your dimension lines from where you're measuring and then draw your line so we know exactly what we're doing. And then I usually like to add little tick marks in the corner so we know exactly where this starts and ends. Okay, make sure you have your tape measure, and we're going to start first with the overall width and length of your room. So I'm going to start with the width first. Word of advice for measuring the overall length and width is try and find a spot in your room where you have a clear shot from wall to wall. I like to measure on the floor whenever I can because I think it's the most accurate. So I am going to, on my width, I don't have a full width shot in my kitchen. So what I'm gonna have to do is go under my range. Hi Klaus, this is Klaus. And I wanna go all the way to the edge. So I am to the far left wall, all the way to the edge of my cabinet where I have my dimension. I like to measure in inches. So I'm going to take the inches and then actually measure from the wall to the edge of my cabinet where I measured before and mark those inches. Let's go write that down. Now what we want to do is mark our dimensions. So our overall width, where we had two dimensions together, I had 88.5 plus 25.5 overall. Next, we want to do the overall length of the space. I'm fortunate that I have a clear shot from wall to wall. Again, you want to measure on the floor. And then you want to lock your tape measure down. Make sure you're touching the wall, make sure you're in a straight line. And I'm going to line it up with my wall and mark my inches. Careful when reeling in your tape measure because they bite. The overall length of my space is 190. So when measuring a room, I like to start in the corner and work my way around the room in order. That way I'm less likely to miss important measurements. So we'll be starting in this corner over here, and we're going to measure our very first opening, which is this opening into the basement. Now, whenever we have an opportunity to measure on the floor, let's take it. It tends to be the most accurate. So to locate the opening in our wall to our basement, I want to lay the tape measure touching the wall on the floor. I want to lock the tape measure down. And then this is one of those times where a straight edge of your choosing comes in handy. Because I can't line it up direct to my wall, I want to just take a straight edge and line it generally with the opening to my wall to my measure, and I want to log those inches. So we started in this corner. We're going to measure this entire wall, and we measured from this wall to the far left opening of our door, and I'm going to run it from here to the opening of our door. That is 10 feet. Now that we've located the far edge of our opening, we want to measure the opening itself. Log your inches. Then we measured the actual opening of our doorway, which was 23.5. Now, I don't always draw a dimension line for everything. Sometimes if it's a clear opening to a doorway or a niche like this, I will just write the dimension in there. Here, it's next to the door. So you don't always have to have dimension lines. Sometimes it gets a little too cluttered if you do that. Now that we have measured our opening, we're going to get this little wing wall to the right of the opening. And then this little wing wall next to our opening. Log your inches. Now this wall here, sometimes if I have smaller spaces, I will just draw a dot with a leader, that's called a leader, and then add my dimension to that. That way it's very clear what I'm marking. So we had 5.5 inches here. Last thing on this wall that we have to locate is our architectural element or our recessed wall niche. Again, I want to go on the floor and measure to this wall and log our inches. Next, we just measured the opening of our niche, which was 42 inches. Lastly, we want to measure how deep our niche goes into the wall. So we take what this little wing wall, we want to get this measurement, log your inches. And this little wing wall to the side, 9. My neighbors decided to blow their leaves today. Now that we're going in order, we have our openings on our far inside wall done. Now we're going to turn and face this wall, and we are going to locate the opening of our door, the door opening, and the window opening. We have an unusually sunny day today here in wintry Seattle. I hope you can see this okay, but we're going to measure the back wall, corner to corner, and we want to locate our door and our window. And we want to measure from the corner to the opening of the door, not the molding. We don't want to worry about that. We want to just measure to the opening of the door. All right, we measured starting in this corner, and we wanted to dimension from the corner of the wall to the opening of the door. We had 19.5. Then we want to measure the actual opening. The actual opening of the door, 6. Again, I'm just writing in the opening. It's very obvious to me. Later, you come up with your own method if mine's not working for you. And then again, from the opening of the door to the opening of the window. Again, not the molding. This small wing wall, so the opening of the door to the opening of the window. 16. And then we want to measure the actual opening of the window. So I'm going to, let's raise this a little bit. Now, if you have a ledge ever to use it. It will make your life a whole lot easier. And then we want to measure the actual opening of the window. I love to use the ledge if I have it. So we want to go opening to opening and record your inches. And then the actual window itself is 48. I usually like to do a W and a circle. That reminds me that I need to get more dimensions later, which we will tackle when we do elevations. And then our little corner here is about 3. I'm assuming it's the same, but we'll check it when we turn our corner. All right, let's go record. And then our corner, this side we know is 3 inches. Now that we've located all of our openings on this back wall, we're gonna focus on the exterior wall. Okay, so let's start in the corner. Now we know this dimension was 3, assuming it's the same, it is. Again, we want to use the ledge because we have it. Just like using our floor. Mark your inches. So starting in this corner, this was actually another 3 inches, so we'll just do 3 by 3. So we know that this whole corner is 3 by 3. The opening of our window, same as the other side, 48. Window. Actually, let's just do, while we're thinking of it, let's do D for door. And then again, from the opening of this window to the opening of this window, now I'm by myself, so this is where the handy locker comes in. I want to set my tape measure, run it long, and then lock it down. And then what we want to do is line up the end of our tape to the opening of our window, and then line up the opening of our window to our tape and find out what that distance is. Let's see. Brian and Marisha in their youth. Then we want to just line up our straight edge with our tape measure, and that gives us our distance. From the opening of our corner window to the opening of our sink window is 50. We already measured to the opening of our window. Now we want to measure the window itself. Okay, log your inches. The window over our sink. And that is from edge to edge. Now we need to locate the opening of our window to the far wall. Now we happen to have a built-in refrigerator in the way, so what we want to do is a little bit of math. And we want to line up the tape measure with the opening of our window to our fridge, and then we want to take the last dimension, which is fridge to the wall. Mark your inches, and then we want to locate the corner of our window all the way to the end wall. We had our opening to our window to the edge of the refrigerator, 28, and then from the edge of our refrigerator to the end of our wall, 38. So there we have it. We have corner to corner and located all of our openings. Now let's do the very last end wall. Last but not least, we have the last wall, which is the wall to the living room. Probably the easiest one to dimension because there's only one opening in it. So I am lucky enough that I can reach all the way to the back wall to the opening of the living room. Mark your inches. So we had from the corner to our opening itself is 29. Now to measure the opening itself, we want to move to the floor and measure wall to wall. Mark your inches. Our opening, 54. I'm assuming that it's on center, but you never know. And we're going to measure with my coffee. Very important. We want to measure from the wall to the opening itself. And bang on, dead center. And our bang on, dead center construction, 29. Okay, we have finished locating all the openings and architectural elements in the space. Next time, we're going to measure and locate all of our built-ins. All right, Thanks so much, you guys. See you next time. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss what's coming next.